Welcome to Impact Effect Podcast, Brock Zevan.
What up, brother? How you doing, Jim?
Good, man. Good. Thanks for being here today. I know we're going to have a pretty intense conversation because we always do, with a lot of vulnerability, a lot of insights. We'll probably get into some business, some personal stuff. But as you know, the first question I ask every single guest on the Impact Effect Podcast is, how are you showing up in the world and creating positive impact today?
Well, you've been on my show, and my show started 5 years ago, and it was part of my drinking that I do a podcast show, mindset motivational show. 200 this year. It's actually 256 times, but we do it Monday through Friday, every single day, including the holidays. Because if I drink that ended with the day with why, I could do something positive to make an impact on every day that begins with why or ends with why. So we do our show. We did it this morning. So to be able to make an impact is for me is doing my mindset motivational show each and every morning. We're blessed and fortunate. We have about 40 people that are part of this family, and they show up. Anybody can come to it, but literally we have about 40 people between Facebook and Zoom. But every day we get to impact many people. It is a discipline that we teach people at 8:15 Eastern time to be there, to show up, to be ready to engage, to be able to learn something from our leaders, to be able to take away something, to make an impact, the gift that God put upon you. I also do a prayer show that I did this morning at 7:30. So I've already by 8:45, I already got 2 shows in the bag of 2 podcasts that I've done to make an impact to help people. So, um, to answer your question, that's what I got going so far today. Is it's a little bit after 1.
I love it, man. I love it. So tell me a little bit about these shows. The first question that comes to my mind is, you did 256 this year alone. Talk about how do you discipline yourself? How do you find guests? How do you continue to market this? How do you continue to stay on schedule? What happens when you travel? Like, tell us about the grind, man, because this isn't just I do this, once a week for 15 minutes.
No, there's actually more to the story recently. So 256 is projected this year. 255 is what I did the last year, 255 before then, and so on for the last 5 years. So I've done over a thousand of these podcast um, shows. And Thanksgiving, I told 2 people that I wasn't going to do it anymore. I was going to hang it up. As you know, being on all the stuff that you do, you got a family, you got a beautiful young kids. I got 2 kids as well. It's hard. It's very hard to do it every single morning at 8:15 and put on a show, put on a face to show up and be like, "Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Brock Zevan. I'm a life coach, business coach, real estate agent, and a DAD. And boy, I can't wait to get started today." Like, there's some days I just don't want to be anything to do with it. There are some days that I'm on vacation with my kids, and I have a 6-year-old and a 12-year-old, and trying to tell them I'm going to be in a closet while we got to wait before we can go down the beach is hard. And, it is a commitment every single day. And I really do lean on Jim, my drinking of if I was able to make stupid bonehead decisions with my family on vacation, doing these type of things, then damn, I should be able to make good decisions just because they're inconvenient. They're not convenient, just because they're a pain, just because there's but I had no problem making those bad decisions. So that really what motivates me. That's really the glue that really keeps me into it to make me show up. And I haven't died from it. I've only progressed in a better way. So it's not like it's killing me, just like drinking was literally killing my liver. Making those decisions was really killing me. Doing this at 8:15 in the morning does not physically hurt me whatsoever internally with my organs. It just makes me a better person. And then the people around me, through the law of attraction with John Maxwell, who's one of my coaches, man, you're separating yourself and elevating yourself. But I can't do it alone. So to answer the other part of your question, I have virtual assistants. So I have virtual assistants that help me. I actually got so involved with virtual assistants, actually won the events through Coach Burt. I met this girl. She was doing all this VA stuff. I'm like, what the hell's all this? And that opened up my eyes. And so to the capacity, because I was a school teacher and I interviewed teachers after teachers, I'm like, well, I can interview VAs and match up these people who need leverage. And so I just use my interviewing process. I interview every single VA, every single client that we have. And so I use the disc analysis using tools that I've already learned, and I match people up, and I'm like, why don't I just run a company? So we have an upscale virtual agency company I run, but that's what I do. I have 5 virtual assistants now that work with me full time. And so they help manage, get our guests, go to different podcasts. A lot of it at this point now is word of mouth.
Yeah.
So a lot of my guests are word of mouth, just like I asked you and others that I bring you back on again. It's been over a year. I'm sure you've had some challenges over the last year. I'm pretty sure you didn't come away unscathed. Like, no, Brock, I've had no problems whatsoever. Like, you had a newborn, you have your shows, you have new stress, there's new financial things, there's new things that are taking place. So now we're bringing people back on. Um, and so there's a team around me that helps me put this into play. This year, we did make an adjustment that I will be here, but I've allowed leaders now to run their own show. So Tuesdays, we have Chad Free. Thursdays, we have Derek Green. Wednesdays, we have a rotation with different coaches and different speakers that come out on Wednesdays. Fridays, we have an author edition. We're getting ready to come out with a new one too, with the sauce of life, where there are 4 pillars. And that's part of our event now that we're created. It's called the Success Summit. But my show has been the vehicle to help me to help others using this platform. And so we have close now. We actually had to do our end of the year numbers, and we have 1,216 people who've been on the show since we've started. So it's pretty cool to see
Wow.
where it's developed. And that doesn't include Facebook, any recordings or anything else. Those are people who literally logged in to be a part of it.
Amazing, man. That's amazing. You just heard the reality behind consistency, discipline, showing up, creating impact for others, creating win-win situation where Brock wins, where the folks that he engages with win, right? That's what we all want to build. We all want to be in an area or a position or a setting where we ultimately are helping others and we're winning as well.
Hmm.
But the big key that hit me when you were chatting about, the consistency and you're thinking about maybe not doing it, you've made some changes was, did you decide that yourself or did you converse with others to see what other opportunities would be out there? Or did you just kind of think like, okay, I'm not going to run it every day. I still want to do it. And I'm going to think of these other ways to make this happen with less strain on me, but still being the glue to the success of the show.
So for full transparency, and I know you're like, well, yeah, hell, tell us really the behind the scenes. That's what it's all about. I mean, honest with you, yeah, I wanted to cancel it. I was to a point where I can now understand when athletes say, I'm ready to hang up the cleats. It's not in me anymore to do that.
Yeah.
So like when those athletes that say they're ready to retire, they retire and they come back. I get what that feels like. If somebody said that to me, like I had to go through this process because my son Bryce said to me one Friday, I was dropping him off at school, and how it all started was he says, "Hey, Daddy, how come you don't do the daddy, opening the doors or opening the bell for the other dads that are there for the morning drop offs?" And I had to say, "Well, I can't, buddy, because I have a show that I have to do." That's the root of how it all started.
Gotcha.
And then I started to think, why am I really, why am I doing this? Like, what is it? Is it an ego thing, Brock, to have people come to it? Does it really benefit you? Are you trying to make an impact? So all these questions really start to come inside your head. And just like I'm sure many people that when you're listening to this, you might be second guessing why you're doing what you're doing. Why do I get up in the morning? Why do I get dressed up even though I'm in my house? Why do I I have shoes on, like, I'm not dressed like, you have the Zoom outfit, like, below, I'm not wearing sweatpants and sneakers, like, I'm dressed head to toe, like, it's all about the details, and sometimes the details wear you down, and you're like, "Why am I doing this? Like, what is the real reason why the hell I do this?" And I wanted to be with my kids more and all this stuff, and so I just was like, "It's not in it." I don't have the passion to do it. I was tired. I really was tired, and I had some things going on in my personal life as well that kind of drain you. So, speaking to those, that there are other elements out there that that's not the only ingredient. There was all these other things that I was dealing with, and um, I just was worn down, and so I made a decision around Thanksgiving. I was up with my kids, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm done with the show. I'm done with it. I don't really feel it, and so it actually turned into a podcast because people wanted to know the whole process that I went through. So I told 2 people about it. And one of the things I will tell you all that if you are looking or you're needing an impact in your life, tell successful people that you want to quit and watch what happens. And
That's a soundbite that's going to live forever.
mhm,
What you just said is extremely powerful.
and
And
that's
it
what
actually
happened to me.
reminded my TED talk that I just recently did
Mhm.
around, relationships and human connection being the 1% that pushes you over the edge from 50 to 51, or in your case, you're probably at 49, right? You were done. You
I
were
was
done.
done.
And that pushed you to 51, maybe that conversation. But it's the same concept around losing your circle. And are you going to them and seeking that level of help, or at least brokering a conversation prior
Mhm.
to making a massive decision in your life with those trusted around you?
Yep.
And in your case, tell us what happened, man. Now you got me all jazzed up over here. I'm like, what do we got? What do we got? Tell me the conversation.
Well, first, congratulations on your TED Talk. I saw that on social media. That's pretty impressive, man, to be on that platform. So congrats to you on that. Um, but yeah, I mean, literally, I told these 2 people that, um, you know, and the reason why I said you have to tell successful people you want to quit because I told my mom that I wasn't going to do it. And guess what my mom said? Well, that's good, Brock. You've been doing it too long. You need to take it easy on yourself. I've been thinking all along you've been pushing yourself. You need to take it easy. Come on now, bro. Why? Is because your mother and your loved ones always want to keep you in comfort. They don't want to see you stressed out. They don't want to see you going through that. So of course, and I knew going into it that that's the reason why I talked to my mom is because I wanted validity of my own thoughts because I didn't want to be pushed. So I was like, yeah, mom, I think I'm gonna hang it up. I'm just not gonna do it. And that's what she said. She was like, you know what, you've done such a good job and you do need to take a break. And she loves me, but she also loves me to be comfort and not in agony or challenged. And so I absorbed it, but then I went away. We went up to the mountains with the kids, and then I told my coach Rebecca Black, and then I told a good friend of mine, Derek Green. I said, "Yeah, I think I'm done." And I also told another buddy of mine, Mike Kastner, and he just goes, "Oh, yeah, I remember too." He goes, "I just, it's fine. I just expected more out of you." I was like, "Wait a minute, what did you just say?" And then Derek is just like, "Man, I think you're I think you're missing out on something. I think that you really need to reflect on what you're doing because I don't think you should quit cancel." And then Rebecca Black was just taking me through the steps, and she's just like, "You can quit. You absolutely can quit, but I don't know about it." because it is an option. Like, I mean, they weren't saying that I couldn't quit. They were saying you can quit, but I don't know. I was expecting more out of you. I really wouldn't do that. It is an
It
option.
what you thought and still think, but have been masked from your true emotion from it because it's hard work, because it's a level of discipline, because you didn't have someone on your show and they passed you $100,000 deal the next week, right? Like those are the
Hmm.
things that you're probably going through your mind, but the reality is look at the impact. Look
And
at the
that's,
opportunity that you're providing for others,
hmm
right? Like that alone may be something that you may be searching for if you remove your daily show in the future. And then what does that chase look like? What does that time consumption appear to be? What is missing that you don't even know will be missing after you cancel the show?
I was looking around for, I had two things, but the one I found is the Serenity Prayer. And as you can see here, it's a nice little coaster with, you can put it on your desk. And the reason why I show you this all is I can't even make this stuff up. I only told 3 people I was going to cancel the show. I still needed about 2 weeks to marinate on and think on it because it was Thanksgiving. Actually, it was more than that because I didn't make my decision till Christmas time. And during that month, in that last episode I did on December 27th, I had more people text me. They didn't know I was canceling. They didn't say anything about me canceling the show, but I had so many messages saying, "Brock, thank you. This year, there was some troubling times I couldn't get through, but here's your show. Brock, you've meant a lot to me. I appreciate what you have done. The people that you put on your show have resonated with me. Brock, I must have had at least 12 text messages at the end of the year. And I did. I kind of like joke. I'm like, is there like does somebody have like a camera on me? Is there somebody who is listening to me? And then I get like gifts like these, and I got cards in the mail from families stating like what I've helped them with their family. And I was like, all right, I'm
Little
gonna
reminder,
I'm, I'm gonna do it because it is a commitment. I mean, as you
of course,
know, like it's like I'm going to do it again for another year. And fast forward to this, Jim. Not only did that take place, but Derek sends me over a message. He goes, "Now that you're not quitting, I'm also going to come on out and see you." And I was just like, okay. Because you know how it is. People tell you all the time, yeah, they're going to do something. But like literally, this guy's part of the Tim Story, Myron Golden, he's with and coaching the high level type of people. And so he sends me a text message like I was in New York for New Year's, and it was like January 2nd. He's like, "Hey man, what weekend are we coming out? I mean, is it that 17th still?" And I'm like, "Damn, this guy's really coming out." So I get back on January 6th, and I shared it with you. On January 6th, we made a decision to do an event called Success Summit. On the 18th, I had 12 days to put this event together. We had people fly from Alabama, Alaska, 2 people from Texas, Philadelphia, Orlando, Key West, a couple hours of South Carolina, North Carolina, obviously. I was just like, if God isn't showing off right now, I don't know what to tell you. Because,
when you need it most, man, when you're starting to fall off the path of positive impact. I mean, it happens with all of us, right? I
yeah,
mean, there's so many of those stories, but the beauty in this is, you know, God showed you through people that you were involved with, just as a little reminder, Brock, little
mhm,
reminder what you're doing has massive impact and it's for the positive and he wants you to keep on that path, man. And
yeah,
then you throw
no,
an
it's,
event in 12 days with I saw multiple speakers, I saw multiple breakouts, lunch, drinks. You guys were at the dinner table. You pulled that off in 12 days. That's impressive alone, you know, let
it was a
alone
lot.
continuing to show. growing the show, morphing the show, showing up for others, getting new guests, repeating guests back. You're doing it, brother. And this is just another case study to share with the world of truly showing up and truly seeking to help others.
Mhm.
And we all go through these stages, you know.
Yep.
I wasn't going to do my conference last year, you
Right.
know. Um, Everybody told me I was crazy. I was like, good.
I was
That's
one of
good.
them.
Do it.
I was sad. I was like, man, I can't believe what you're doing over there.
But you pulled it off in 12 days and you had the momentum, which I think is massive, right? You had the momentum of continuing the show, the support from others, the
Mhm.
deep human connection, the resources. And, I think there's so many of these situations that come up where we forget. We're moving fast. We're on to the next thing. We're comparing to others, but you forgot the impact, like the real raw reason of probably why you started doing this in the first place, you
Mhm.
know? And I think that happens to all of us. It happens to all of us, some of us more than others. It happens in seasons, right? There's been plenty of seasons where I was gonna stop doing what I'm doing.
Mhm.
And it's that person that pushes us over the edge. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Um, you had mentioned family. You had mentioned DAD being extremely important to you, considering stopping the show so you could be more around family and do some of these things. Talk to us, and you also mentioned drinking. Talk to us about your experience with drinking, family, where you are today with it, what kind of the biggest challenges were around it, how'd you bounce back, like like to the person that is going out on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, having some cocktails with friends, doing some business networking, over consuming, knows they may, start trending down the wrong road. They're not really there yet. What do you say to that person who just doesn't realize what they're losing or what the cost of this consumption of alcohol is creating there?
So, to that person that I'm speaking to that needs to hear this message, I've learned in life that the people, when I do events, shows, speaking, and anything else like that, there's somebody that needs to hear the message. When we did our mastermind, we had 27 people on a mastermind that started with 3 people. And we did a show Thursday. So the Thursday before the event, we went from like 3 or 4 people to 27 people at our mastermind in 2 days. And the reason is because our Thursday show was so impactful to people because we were just completely raw and we're completely real. And I'm about to tell you the same exact thing of just being raw and real. When it comes time for drinking, when it comes time for decision making, whatever it is, you already know what you're supposed to be doing. Like, I wasn't dumb. Like, I already knew that my drinking was out of control. Like, who has a bottle of wine in the morning? Like, who drinks Maker's Mark in your soda at noon? Like, it's just, you know what you're doing is not correct. You just don't know how to correct it. You don't know exactly what it is because you tried so many things and then you think that nobody will understand. And that's how I felt over and over again, that nobody's going to understand that I drink a bottle of wine. Nobody's going to understand that I don't really eat any food. I drink through my day. Nobody's going to understand that, when you're making poor decisions late at night, when you should go home to your family, I'm still out at the bar doing things that I shouldn't be doing. They're going to judge you because that's what society does. So you wrap yourself up in a cocoon, hoping that one day you'll spring into a butterfly, but it just doesn't happen. And you just find yourself in the cocoon longer and longer. And so I was that person. And I thought going to church, I thought praying, I thought all these things would help me, but it didn't until Brock Zevan, realized that if I keep on this path, I will not be the dad or father figure walking my daughter down the aisle at her wedding. I'll either be dead or behind bars or definitely with a legal court order not to see my kids. And then I said the same exact thing to my son Bryce, and I said, if I keep doing this, some other dad's gonna be giving him a high five for him scoring the touchdown, or driving them to homecoming, or giving him a handshake at his high school graduation because I'm not going to be there for the piss poor decisions. So when it comes time for making really, really, really hard decisions, you have to add an emotional attachment to it, to a why. I was sharing it the other day of being, why do I constantly work out? Now I'm all into my visceral fats, and studying them and understanding that, boy, my visceral fats are a little bit higher, so I'm changing my diet up. And people are like, well, Brock, you're already in pretty good shape now. Yeah, but you know what? I can get in better shape. I don't know how much longer I have to live. I'm not guaranteed till tomorrow. But I can tell you this, statistically, my son is going to live longer than me, and he's 6 years old. Probably 3 months ago, I'm 46 years old, and my daughter asked me to play in their daddy-daughter soccer game. Riel's 12 years old, okay? And they're running around. These girls are pretty good shape. I'll be damned if you think I'm just going to sit on the sideline. And guess what? There were dads out there who are out of shape, who are wearing jeans, who basically were just jogging up and down out of the court or out of the field. And here I come with 3 different cleats. I got molded cleats, I got screw-on cleats, I got short turf cleats, I got a bag with me, I got my icy hot, I got my water with me, and I played. And you know what, Jim? I had the best compliment. My daughter says to me, Dad, I didn't know you had those moves. And man, did that get me fired up. Did that get me fired up? Just like when my son's 6 years old, and
Making me teary-eyed over here, bro, thinking about this for the days that, I can show up that way for my kids. And
no, it's gonna happen.
you're 100% correct is I wouldn't have been there either if I kept keeping up.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so many people out there that, need to hear this. They just need to hear the truth and they need to hear that emotional tie and to tie it back to those things that truly matter. Right? Because at the end of
100%.
the day, I guarantee you the fun night you had last night, you're going to forget about 7 to 10 days.
Mm.
And people that were sitting at the bar with you, that's your best buds, or you guys are having a good old jolly time, they're just as drunk as skunk as you. They don't remember
Mhm.
half the conversation, right? And they're not checking in on you and seeing how you're doing and if you got home safe that night after driving
Mhm.
home drunk, which that was one of my biggest things that I realized was, wow, that person just let me stumble out of the bar, get in my car, and drive away. They're not a friend. They're an
Mhm.
enabler, you know? And someone who seeks friendship. And sometimes, I was blind to what the reality was and who is a true friend. And I've got to give kudos to you because on my journey of stopping drinking, that's right around when we met,
Mhm.
right?
I
You
remember you
shared
telling
your
me.
story. You shared your story with me and you gave me the hope and you gave me the positivity and you modeled the behavior. There's reasons why you're growing at the pace you're growing, your business, your other opportunities that have popped up, your show growth, your stage growth, your real estate, the VA company, the marketing services, right? There's a reason why there's continuous growth. It's because you're dialed in and focused. And
Mhm.
you showed that path of what change looks like and tying it back to an emotional tie like that around family and kids and loved ones, friends, relatives. We have to have kids to love someone, you know. Um, it's really just a blessing to say at very least of our friendship. And I wanted you to know that today as we were talking navigating risk because you did set the path. You did blaze the path. You did share at 100% vulnerability, the truth, the struggle, the reality. And not only are you impacting me, but you're sharing the story today will hopefully impact listeners that may be in a similar situation or maybe struggling. Maybe they stop drinking and they keep going back here and there. And just need to hear that reminder because that's
Right.
reality too, right? Some people don't just hit a home run at the first swing of the bat. And I
Hell
shared
no.
my story with someone, and they were like, "Oh, I never reached out to you to go to a meeting because I know you just never went to meetings and you just did it on your own." And like, dude, let's go to a meeting. Like, I'm just because I didn't have to in my transition doesn't mean I'm not there to support you. Doesn't mean I want to support you. Doesn't mean I can't learn something from that meeting. And you know me, I want to meet people. I love people. So if you put
See
me in a
that?
room with any people, I'm there, man. If I can
Yeah.
make it, I'm there, you know. Um, all that happening, the emotional tie, there's got to be a financial tie to it as well. Like, did you realize how much money you were spending on this habit, this adventure, this fun, however you want to, you know, call it based on what you need to call it? But was that ever a factor, or was the financial piece of drinking something that just you were fine, you were making enough, and it didn't really hurt your wallet to the extent of change?
So, yeah, I was blessed and fortunate that money really wasn't a challenge. I was making really good money in the real estate world. I mean, I spend thousands of dollars a month, but when you're making 20 to $30,000 a month, I was like, that was no problem. The problem became when I got irresponsible with it. The problem came when I had no discipline around finances. That's when I started to really understand, like, I'm spending way too much money and I'm spending it on things that are frivolous and not my family. And it was a slow, like an axe chopping at a tree. You're not going to cut it down the first time. First swing, the second swing, it's the over and over and over and over. And when you get that tree to fall, there's no way that that tree is going back when it's halfway down to the ground. It's fallen. No matter what you try to do to hold it back, it's kinda like the "oh shit" moment, but it's too late. And, and when it fell, my whole world crumbled, my marriage, and that's when the finances started to crumble because everything just because eventually it gets caught. I didn't lose my job on December 11th, 2019, all. Okay. I lost my job 3 years ago doing the mischief that I was doing and the embezzlement through my company that I wasn't paying attention to, and the fraudulent checks that were going out, and the security deposit funds that were being taken out of accounts because I wasn't managing it, and the people I had underneath me, I wasn't even paying attention to. That's what took place. And on December 11th, when my lawsuit took place, and they say you don't have a real estate license anymore, that's the moment that you were like, "Uh-oh, now my world is really about to happen. Now my life is really about to take shape. And oh, by the way, my son is 3 months old,
Wow.
and I have a foreclosure notice getting ready to go on my house, and I'm living in a $500,000 house, and the world's about to go, and you walk out to your car, and your car is repossessed, and you have no idea where it is, and you go try to tell, your wife at the time that you're running late and trying to create an excuse in your head because you don't know where your car is, and it's just like, what do you do? Your credit cards are maxed out. So, at the time period, was it financially? No, but it was a freaking avalanche that just crushed me during a time period where that tree has already fallen, and the only way to get a tree back up all is you gotta wait to replant a new one, and you gotta let it grow, and you gotta nurture it, and you gotta water it when you got no nurturing to India. when you got no water in you, you got to figure out a way to get that tree to grow back up. And now my tree is grown. I've got roots in it. It's stronger, so it can handle more of a storm. And then now it can provide shade to help other people so they too can grow and to do whatever it is that it takes that they need. But it's the process and it takes a lot of energy and effort, and you just got to want it. You got to want it really, really freaking bad.
Rebuilding, planting that tree, growing that tree. What was that like?
It is, if anybody's looking for a video, I would go on YouTube, the Chinese bamboo tree. And the Chinese bamboo tree takes over 5 years to grow. But you look like a moron trying to make it to grow because it doesn't do a damn thing for 5 years, but you have to keep watering it, watering it, watering it. It's the same thing with you. Like you're trying to grow. Everybody sees you as the alcoholic and the drunk, so they're just making fun of you and trying to get you to go. And then you have Facebook and all these things that are at you. So growing the tree literally was at the time period a test of my faith and for me to be able to figure out what I was missing because I realized that I can have grit. I can freaking work like no other, but I wasn't getting the growth. See, grit is different than growth because no matter how much grit you put into it, at the end of the day, you have grit. But if you work on your growth, you're eventually going to grow. And that
You
was
can
the
run against
biggest.
the wall as many times as you want, over and over and over,
Mhm.
and the wall doesn't break. It doesn't kill you. You get back up. You got a bump on your head, a bruise on your knee, bloody lip, whatever, right? But nothing's changed.
Nothing. Nothing changes if nothing changes. And you just have
So
to change.
I was gonna say it sounds simple, but yet so difficult. You know.
Mhm.
Um.
100%.
All right. All that being said, Brock Zevan today, what advice would you give Brock Zevan 10 years ago?
A lot of times people ask me if I regret things. And I now can say no because that was the path God wanted to be on. See, I couldn't help people if I don't experience it. If there's anything that I would do differently, I don't really, maybe done it sooner in my life to some aspect of it, or recognize things sooner because I didn't recognize my life really didn't change all until I was about 40 years old, 42 years old. And I look at that and I say many times in my life, like, if I can make it till 84, I did good. So I'm halfway through the season of my life. And I say to myself many times, and I would ask yourself this question: am I going to live the second half of my life, the remaining part of my life, like I did my first half? And I make a decision every day that I'm not going to live like I lived my first half. I'm going to outperform. I'm going to come from abundance. I'm going to impact many people. That my second half of my life is going to far outweigh my first half of my life. And I only
Do you
have
believe
me to prove.
that your show is a tool that keeps you motivated and disciplined and in line to continue to live a better second half of your life? Like, is that a big piece to this?
I would say so. My last event, we planned it in 12 days. Within 12 hours after my event, I had such energy and enthusiasm and momentum, and people texted me that within 12 hours, we already have our second event lined up on July 16th, 17th, and 18th in Key West. We already have it planned out. Guys, I just got done the show. I'm watching the Philadelphia Eagles in the LA. I'm watching the game, and these text messages are coming in thinking I'm going to sleep on the couch. And God's like, oh no, I'm not. I got to keep your adrenaline going. And this is what we're going to do. And we're going to already put it into play because people are already asking me about it. So, yes, this show is what keeps me going and keeps me fired up because just like you, I love your vision. When you told me that your vision of your events and everything else, like that's that's what I got. And, like, I'm like, "Who would have thought?" My mom's like, "I'm gonna go to Key West too then." I'm like, "Come on down, mom." I mean, I had family members. My godmother was at my event. My cousin led our workout. I took stuff that you did on your event, and I said, "I wanna make this an impact. I wanna make this like an event, like they will remember." We had a workout in the morning, we had a happy hour, and then we're done the happy hour, they're like, "It still goes?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, we got the speaker reception and VIP now." And we went to another place, and then the next morning, I invited everybody over to my parents' house. This is something I got from you to make it intimate, to bring you into my family. And so my mom's like, "Yeah, come on over." We had people come on over. Not only is Derek Green a professional speaker, but he's also a chef, and he's been on that show. I don't even know what it's called on like HGTV, but he's been on
Yep.
the show on that, and he made waffles. He owns a company, Waffles and Whatnot, and he, like, cooked in front of everybody, and people were, like, in awe. They're like, "We've never done this before. This was the best event I've ever been to." I said, "Good, don't go to Jim Morris's then because he's gonna outdo me because he's a lot better than me." But I take a lot of stuff from him, and I put it to what we do here. But that's the impact. That's the when people said that to me, I was like, "Alright." So whatever it is inside of your vision and your goal, I'll leave you with this. Just do it. The guy, I think Trump said it yesterday, or Reverend Graham said it yesterday at the inauguration. Whatever you think is impossible is not impossible for God. It is not impossible for him. He actually laughs at us when we think that that's impossible. He's like, we insult him when we come up with frivolous little tiny little dreams. He's like, that's it. That's all you got for me.
That's it. Man, what a powerful, powerful statement, brother. And thank you. Thank you for the kudos to the event. And I know how much you pour into it and you focus on the experience, and to have people wanting more is just a testament of what you're doing and providing and how you're showing up for the community and for those folks. It's the customer is always going to tell you what they want. And for that many people to hit you up, for that many people to ask about next dates, can I buy tickets already? Like that is a true testament of where you poured out your heart to have positive impact. And, there's a lot of people that have come across my life and especially around events will try to steer me and guide me to do certain things. And it may have worked for them and they may have made money and may have been a great strategy, but I always go back to, is that impacting the actual person in the room, or is that impacting me or the speaker or the guest or the sponsor? And you do have to provide impact for your speakers. You do have to provide opportunity. You do have to market and leverage so your sponsors are taken care of and they get their information out there and they have the opportunity. But anything that I do has to impact the guests as well. So,
Mm,
it always reminds me of, like, in a company when we started our company, Creative Vibe Marketing, a couple weeks ago. My wife and I, we brought on some two team members this past week. It was like, hey, you know, our vision is to take care of you so you can take care of the customer, right? And I think when you're running an event, you need to take care of the speakers so they can take care of the customers, which is
mhm,
the guest in this case. But the thing that's different is you can't take care of the speakers and have it not impact the guest.
yep,
And that was a lesson that I learned the hard way. That was a lesson that cost me a lot of money. That was a lesson that allowed me to lose some friendships, but also gain the right ones, gain the right partnerships and the right opportunities. So I couldn't agree more, man. Couldn't agree more. Um, all that being said, Brock, is there anything you want to leave the guests, the listeners of the Impact Effect podcast, where we can find you? Any little last nuggets?
So, yeah, you always can join our morning mindset show. It is Jimmy probably had the link, but you can look me up on Facebook. But it's the Brock Zevan's Mindset Motivational Show. We have several YouTube channel. Well, I have a YouTube channel, but we have several different platforms. You can watch it on Facebook. You can come into Zoom. Zoom gives you the most interaction because you can actually talk to us. And we're always we're having guests now come on, and each individual leader brings something different. Our Wednesdays are phenomenal because there's different people speaking all the time. So we encourage you to be a part of it. If you're struggling in some capacity, if you're looking for discipline, a lot of people do it on their way to work. They get in at 8:15. It's 30 minutes long, so from 8:15 to 8:45, and then they're right there at the office. So they take that energy into their office. It is East Coast time, and I'm just going to tell people that you need to keep dreaming. I did the other day, like remove limiting beliefs, like remove it, and then go tell it to successful people. Find successful people you want to be a part of, that you mirror, or they're doing what you're doing, and go chase them down. Go hunt them down. Successful people want to help other people. They really do. Don't be intimidated by them, even though it might seem intimidating. Go find them. Go on LinkedIn. Go on different platforms and hunt them down. One of my buddies, I found out he was speaking in Florida. I flew down to Florida on a break. I went right up to him and shook his hand. He was my spiritual coach, Justin Ford. And I was like, you don't know me, but I listened to your podcast and I wanted to meet you. He's the one that got me into the prayer call. I've been doing it for 2 years now. And he's the one that helped me put God into my life.
Love
So that's my biggest takeaway is go find the people you want to be and go hunt them down and go meet them.
Live your dreams. Brock
Yeah,
Zevan
man.
said it himself. Go create them, hunt them down, and build them. Well, thank you
Mhm.
so much, brother. I appreciate you being on the Impact Effect podcast. As always, we drop a new episode every single week. So to our listeners and our audience, go create an impact.